Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Thank you so much for staying with me, for waiting. We're a bit delayed today. As I mentioned yesterday, had to be at 9 p.m. tonight. So thank you so much for staying awake and waiting and tuning in. If you're tuning in for the first time, I'm presenting actual news. I welcome your questions, suggestions, opinion, reactions. So please feel welcome to comment. And if there's anything I say that contradicts what you know, please provide a source and then I gladly stay corrected. So today we will talk about President Biden. We saw them together with VP Harris today. We have a bunch of videos from that, a bunch of readouts from that as well, what happened behind the scenes. Also, we're going to talk about whatever that was, the Trump presser or whatever, again, that was at the private club, the Bedminster, New Jersey. Okay, so we will dissect it. I have a couple of clips there, but we're not going to go way into depth there because there was no depth. Okay, and then just regular actual news. Okay, so let's start. First things first, we saw today President Biden before he arrived at the event. Of course, everything was around economy today, around decreasing or lowering prices for drugs, for certain drugs. I'm gonna present which are 10 medications are gonna cost way less, 40 to 60% less starting 2026. How it does affect Medicaid. So I have the readouts, I have the video of President Biden talking about it, and Kamala Harris and everybody. Okay, so first things first, before he left to the event, he talked briefly to the press at the Southern Lawn at the White House. President Biden was asked about Bidenomics and if those would continue with Kamala Harris, to which he said, in case you haven't noticed, it's working. And I really don't understand where this notion is coming from as to is Kamala Harris going to continue the same economy or not, or what. This hair makes me... Okay, it's gone. Now we can continue. Anyway, I don't understand where this notion is coming from. And I shared so many clips with you from the White House press briefings, from NSC. Are you transitioning? Is this going to continue? Is she's going to be completely different when it comes to Israel, when it comes to economics? Why would she be different? She's running as a successor. Of course, she's going to have her own ideas, and that's the beauty of it. We live in a democracy where when we elect a leader, he or she or them can present their ideas. That's the whole idea of democracy, to give people a chance, right? So, but she's running as a successor of, if you may call it, Bidenomics. And Bidenomics are working. So where are those questions coming from? Anyway, then he was asked about the VP, if she would distance herself from his economic policies. He said she's not going to. Then he was asked about Venezuela, if he would support new elections in Venezuela, and he said, I do. And then he was also asked to comment on Trump's promise to make America affordable again. Is that why he had all those groceries and meat, in the middle of August, meat outdoors, coffee, all that stands right next to him? Is that because he was talking about groceries? Just hit me. I thought it was product placement. Oh, that was a problem. Anyway, and then President Biden just joked about Trump and economics. He said he ought to get a job. So, you better be good economical or job market for him, because he's going to be getting a job soon. Then Biden was also asked about Hamas not participating in the negotiations in Doha, and he said they are represented by both the Qataris and Egyptians. The negotiating is going on right as I speak, and we're going to talk about this more. Let's wait. I have a readout from John Kirby from NSC. I have a readout from Pentagon. So let's talk about it in detail when we arrive there, which is towards the end of my actual news, when we go into our international talks. So also Martin Sheen, whom you probably know from a bunch of different movies, but Moreover, West Wing. He was there with President Biden. You see them spending some time together. Then they said bye-bye, and then President Biden departed on Marine One to the event. And Martin Sheen said that he will be certainly seen at the campaign events with Kamala Harris. So he was there with Melissa Fitzgerald and Mary McCormack. They spent some time at the White House, which is like their own house, I guess, since West Wing. I'm the designated survivor girl, so have to catch up on the West Wing. Okay, so from the event, let's review a couple of clips. First, Kamala Harris defined the problem. And the problem is that why do the drugs cost so much? Not just because of economy, because here in America, and if you're watching anywhere from Europe, the situation is very much different. And by the way, President Biden talked about it, that he can take you on Air Force One. I think that's where we started dreaming. But anyway, he can take you anywhere to get the medication that was prescribed to you in America, and you will get it 40 to 60% less anywhere in Paris or Berlin or wherever you go, because the medication costs way less. And here, the big pharma has the monopoly, and people, one-on-one don't have the power to negotiate it. But Medicaid, because it serves so many people, has the power to negotiate, which exactly what happened. So let's review the first clip, and I have to pull it up because it's a bit larger. It's 2 minutes and 20 seconds. But I just want you to watch it all in one piece to understand what exactly VP Harris was referring to. So first, she defined the problem. So let's take a look at this clip.
Well, one big reason is for years, Big Pharma has often inflated the price of life-saving medications, often charging many times what it would cost to make just to increase their profits. And millions of Americans have suffered as a result. My entire career, I've worked to hold bad actors accountable and lower the cost of prescription drugs. As Attorney General of California, I took on pharmaceutical companies for deceptive marketing and illegally inflating the cost of drugs, and we won billions of dollars. As a United States Senator, I fought to pass laws that would make health care more affordable and accessible for all Americans. And as Vice President, together with Joe Biden, our president, we finally addressed the long-standing issue that for years was one of the biggest challenges on this subject, which was that Medicare was prohibited by law from negotiating lower drug prices. And those costs then got passed on to our seniors, but not anymore. 2 years ago, we gave Medicare the power to negotiate lower prescription drug prices for the first time in history. And here is why that matters. It is nearly impossible for a patient to negotiate lower prices by themselves. Just think about that. Somebody who needs the medication, who may be suffering from a serious illness, that they would by themselves be able to negotiate against a big drug company to lower their prices is virtually impossible. It's one person against a huge corporation. But Medicare represents more than 65 million people. And so Medicare has collective bargaining power. And now Medicare can use that power to go toe-to-toe with Big Pharma and negotiate lower drug prices.
And so you define the problem. And Lisa, thank you so much for commenting. Lisa says prescription here in France, medical in general, and out of pocket, no insurance, is almost nothing. Amazing. My meds here are less than 20 euros a month compared to 320 in the States. Yeah, you know, there was a video, I think it went viral about a few years ago during COVID, certainly, when people in Europe, I think in London and Paris and Berlin, were asked, what would you pay for EpiPen, right? Whatever you have a bunch of allergies, so like peanuts and all that kind of stuff. So what that medication you can inject yourself and pretty much save your life with. And they said, oh no, like $20, maybe $40, 20 pounds. And then they've heard what we pay here. If it's out of pocket, no insurance, it goes up to, I think, $600 or $800, which is insane. And that just, and by the way, I don't have a clip from that, but Trump was talking about it later in his whatever that was, and he said, "I'll cut that clip out. I'll put it up on Twitter so you can watch it, and I'll present it in the live stream tomorrow." He said he was asked about insurance, and he said, "Well, but this is really what I refer to as." Like it's the global market, whatever. He started talking about how bad it is to have Medicare and Medicaid because rich people want to have private insurance and have better hospitals, but now everybody's going to have same insurance, so that there's not going to be any special treatment. So you will be like in Europe, everybody's on the same level, so you have to wait to be seen and there's no privilege. That was his explanation why he's against lowering costs and offering Medicare and Medicaid. So, and by the way, today here we're going to review the hidden footage that two reporters went undercover to talk to the leader of Project 2025. They explain how they did it, and we're going to review and dissect the clips and what we hear. And certainly all of that comes up there. So everything aligns. And by the way, the leader of Project 2025 explains that, oh, we're going to hear it 10 more times that Trump has no affiliation with us. Well, because that's the branding. It hurts his brand. And now Project 2025 is a shit show in terms of media. So it has a bad brand. So because of the, and you'll see it, he explains everything pretty clear. Donald said we will be living in a communist country under Harris because we would have health care for everyone. Exactly. Communist. That was the words I was looking for. Communist. Okay. Well, moving on. I wanted to answer some questions before we actually move on. Sierra Ferris says, hi, Olga, does Trump fans receive national security briefings? Yes. Yes. And the scariest part is not just national security briefings. They also are entitled to get any information they request. So any specific information, they're entitled to get it. And God forbid, November 5th, if they win or whatever, they will be literally having an office at the White House. It's transition period, so it goes really copy-paste to everybody. So that's the scariest part. Same in Canada, much cheaper here for prescription medication. Yeah, and certainly, if you paid attention, Amazon, after buying out Whole Foods, after getting into the food business, they tried to get now in medical business and already sell a bunch of stuff on Amazon. And Amazon wants to buy out CVS and sort of in terms of any drugs, perhaps over-the-counter drugs, but then stepping into prescription drugs. So monopoly, again, if that happens, what else, right? Then you certainly don't have any negotiation power because they are selling and they're storing and they're telling us what to pay for it. They shouldn't be getting any briefings. I know. Candidate security rules need to, yeah, I know. Why does he get it, but no, not other candidates? It's official. So if somebody becomes a nominee from that moment on, they're getting security briefings. So since he became the nominee after the RNC, he accepted. Then so he's getting RFK Jr. is not officially the nominee, so he doesn't have the numbers, right? Doesn't produce the percentages in terms of votes, so hence he's not at the debates either. Others, Kamala Harris certainly already gets her briefings as VP, but when it comes to Tim Walz, I mean, when they're officially at the DNC next week are nominated, then that changes. Okay, so next clip will be where Kamala Harris talked about the result, now what the Biden-Harris administration did for Medicare patients, how they negotiated, and then I let you see how she gave the word to President Biden, because it was very sweet, it was very honorable, it was very positive, right? So just to see them together. So let's take a look. Let me pull up this clip. It's going to be 2 minutes 30. Woo. I'm in the wrong thing. Okay, 2 minutes to 30 seconds, but it's worth your time. I promise it. So let's take a look.
And this is to the benefit of not only tens millions of people on Medicare, but also millions of Americans on Medicare who have long-term disabilities. And understand, as a result of our negotiations, the government will also pay less than for prescription drugs. And think about what that means in terms of helping taxpayers save money, whether or not they take these medications. So all of this is to say, 2 years ago as vice president, I was proud to cast the tie-breaking vote that sent the bill that gave Medicare the power to negotiate and let it get to the president's desk. And I was proud when our president, Joe Biden, signed that bill into law. In the 2 years since, we've been using this new power to lower the price of life-saving medications. And now to announce the result of those negotiations, it is my eternal and great honor, I have to tell you, to serve with this most extraordinary human being and American and leader, our President, Joe Biden.
Thank you. Thank you, Kamala. Well, I love you guys, too. I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. First time I sponsored a bill to let Medicare negotiate the price of drugs was in 1973 as a freshman senator with a guy named Frank Church from the state of Idaho. Folks, I have an incredible partner. The progress we've made, she's going to make one hell of a president.
Doesn't he look good? He looks better, right? Because he's not jumping and jet setting all over the world. But he looks so healthy and so good. I am very happy, honestly, very happy. I don't know if you notice it, but I certainly do. Can't wait to see him also in person. So I would concur that. Concur that somebody as deranged as Trump, it shouldn't be anywhere near that stuff. Indeed, yeah. And the normal circumstances, getting briefings is smart. Yeah, because they can then follow up. Indeed. Yeah. As to the question, Keith, I saw your question about, so Biden has been looking rested lately. Yeah. And well spoken. Yeah. So he has been jet setting so much before that damn debate on CNN. And by the way, we're going to talk about CNN because I started getting my press releases from Trump today. Remember yesterday they excluded me and I followed up and now I'm blessed, I guess. Anyway. I'll show you those really. Anyway, we'll talk about it. But before that damn debate, he has crossed, I think he said he traveled, he changed time zone 16 times. No, he was not obviously going around the world, but going back and forth. It was Normandy, it was a NATO summit, it was G7 in Italy. He was all the time traveling. And then also Hunter's court case was ongoing. So there was so much stress, and then he was sick, right? So just such a bad timing, and I just wish for all of us to kind of, remember him and then hear him for how he is now and what he represents now. Train wrecks, I can't wait to see. Yeah, oh yeah. In terms of who nominates, back to Keith's question, who nominates the independent nominee? Let me get back to you on that. I'm going to pull a Karine Jean-Pierre. I'm going to research and tell you because I really don't know. He doesn't just have my 30-day notice mood. Exactly. And by the way, all of them. You see, like Karine Jean-Pierre was dancing with the TikToker, the boogie and all that kind of whatever, the dancing thing. It was cute. It was like they feel free. Like, hold my beer, we're doing our thing, but we're not nervous anymore. And we don't know what else he has to deal with as a president. He's not golfing all the time. Exactly. is more relaxed and he doesn't give the F. Yeah, he's in Dark Brandon mode. Speaking of Dark Brandon, so then he explained what was achieved, and he used as an example a story of a nurse. So take a look.
You could take out an Air Force One, and if you have a prescription from a drug company in America, and fly you to Toronto, Canada, fly you to Paris, France, fly you to Belgium, fly you anywhere around the world, and get you the same prescription filled for the same company for 40 to 60% less than we pay for it here. Too many Americans can't afford the drugs they badly need for life and death. So they skip doses, cut pills in half, forego prescriptions entirely because the prescription drugs are totally unaffordable. The woman you met, the nurse you just met, she's paid $900 a month. Well, guess what, man? She's going to pay nowhere near that. $9,000. She's going to pay, guess what? Beginning January, every single prescription drug she has, including, God forbid, if she needs a really expensive drug like a cancer drug. Maximum she ever has to pay is $2,000, period.
And woohoo, Toronto got name checked. Yes. But it's so true, you know, and it's like if you come from Europe or if you move to Europe and you kind of see what others are dealing with, and healthcare is free and right, and then you can select medication and it doesn't cost anywhere near what it costs here, then you just certainly become confused. And I mean, like, healthcare is even free, I mean, in places like Russia, you know, like that is the third world country I would refer to, since, you know, if you think about them being a regime, if you think about the level of life, not in Moscow and St. Petersburg, but if you take entire Russia, right, where people don't have electricity or gas, right, or they don't have toilet inside the house, which is normal for big regions in Russia, right, and Russia stretches up to, you know, Eurasia and that direction. So, but certainly the healthcare is there. So, interesting how it works here. And I think it's profit related. It's certainly big pharma related. It's certainly not impossible. It could have been done way back. It could be done today too. But then think about it. If a vaccine comes out, how much one actor makes, right? And how less they would make if, you know, it was presented to us at a normal cost, right? With a normal budget. And by the way, that stretches to the groceries prices too, right? Because they were way higher since the inflation, since the gas prices, since the war started in Ukraine. It brought turbulence in that way. But then the prices go down, but companies do not lower the prices and keep higher margins. So that is a big reason when it comes to groceries. And I know Trump, you know, with the bacon and coffee or whatever he had by the side, I hope for him to understand where it comes from, right? And I mean, they will never explain it to the audience because it's not in their interest to explain. But that's just basic economics, but nobody talks about it. So quick readout about the prices. So today, for the first time in history, President Biden says, my administration is announcing that Medicare has reached agreements on new lower prices with the manufacturers of all 10 drugs selected for the first round of drug price negotiation. So those are the drugs. I have the readout and you can take a look at them. When these lower prices go into effect, people on Medicare will save $1.5 billion in out-of-pocket costs for their prescription drugs, and Medicare will save $6 billion in the first year alone. It's a relief for the millions of seniors that take these drugs to treat everything from heart failure, blood clots, diabetes, arthritis, Crohn's disease, and more. And it's a relief for American taxpayers. So, and if you don't believe me, let's watch the video where President Biden announced the details. So take a look.
I got to thank you for that. It's meant a world of difference to my husband and I.
I just met with Judy Aiken, retired nurse, living with arthritis and a skin condition for over 40 years.
Last year, we spent roughly $9,000 on Embro alone. And I have to admit that sometimes if we had a great deal of financial obligations, I'd skip a dose.
Today, I'm proud to announce that Medicare has finally reached an agreement with manufacturers of all 10 drugs selected for the first round of drug price negotiations for new lower prices. Significantly needed drugs for people, reducing the price 40 to 80%.
We've had some major household expenses, replacing the boiler, the windows, and we could take care of those easily. We also can go out to dinner a couple times.
Healthcare shouldn't be a privilege, it should be a right. And especially when they're so overcharged for these drugs. It doesn't surprise me that it would take a nurse to come forward like you. No, I'm serious. Your advocacy's made a difference, and I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much.
God love you.
And I wanted to answer Keith, but everything I'm typing here, YouTube sees it as spam. I wish you could see what I'm seeing. I can't answer. I can't comment on the video that I'm streaming. That's interesting. Like red, everything red now. Interesting. Okay, never mind. But you got your answer certainly in this video, and so it caps it at 2,000, which is a big relief. And to your comments, moving to Canada or moving to Europe, which is overpriced, compared to everything else, what we pay here for, let's say, clothes or anything, and just like euro dollar currency exchange rates based. People rather come to US to shop and stuff. But when it comes to medication, you certainly are surprised how affordable that is, right? Or it's not, at least it's not breaking you or breaking your bank or your entire family budget. Very interesting. So very also happy to see the changes in that regard. So let's continue from there. After the event, Biden and Harris, along with the Maryland Governor Wes Moore, entered another overflow room in the theater. So, I mean, it was planned as a policy announcement event. Only the entire place, including overflow areas, like people were sitting around the pool, people were sitting in the theater. So all of those areas welcomed only 2,300 people. But now it's the election season. The hype is, there. People are enthusiastic. They want to see Biden together with Harris. They want to hear them and cheer, right? So it was overflowed. And the organizer said if we would have guesstimated it, we certainly would have met at a different place, rather than, I think it was a school, right? So they went to the theater in this overflow room, and Biden said, folks, I think your patience exceeds your good judgment. This is the single most important election in our lives. Our democracy is at stake, and I left you with the woman who is going to take care of it. So then Harris praised Biden's leadership and said he was always fighting for working people. She also said that the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, but who you lift up. And then a woman screamed, Howard University in the house. And Biden made a joke. He looked at the guy who had like a giant hat, and he said, where the hell did you get that lid? It's cute. And so total crowd was 2,300 people. So also what was announced today in a statement, and I have a readout from President Biden on new clean energy jobs. And that's what ticked off Trump today. And that's why he kept talking about this trucks, electric trucks being heavier than the gasoline truck, because, wait a second, let me recall this craziness, because it's a craziness. And he went on and on and on for like 10, 15 minutes about the damn truck. That the trucks, somehow electric trucks, are heavier because why? But the gasoline, once the truck is fully loaded and the tank is full, right? It's one weight, but then as you go and use up the gas, the truck becomes lighter and uses less gas because it's lighter as it goes. And that is what. But with electric, it doesn't work because the entire weight of the truck is, according to him, the battery. I'll leave it at that. So anyway, statement from President Biden on new clean energy jobs. So he says, when I think of combating the climate crisis, I think of a good paying jobs for American workers. According to a new report released this week, in the 2 years since I signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law, companies have announced more than 330,000 new clean energy jobs. Many of these jobs are good paying union jobs that do not require a college degree, including electricians, construction workers, and mechanics working on innovative clean energy projects. Thanks to administration policies, these new jobs are driving a manufacturing boom and lowering costs for families by increasing access to affordable clean energy, including wind and solar energy. Despite the progress, House Republicans want to take our country backward and have voted dozens of times to repeal these transformative policies, even though more than half of these jobs are being created in their districts. I will continue fighting for American families by lowering utility bills and increasing access to good paying union jobs. Also, it reminded me on Trump again when he talked about the windmills, how windmills, if you want to see a graveyard for birds, go below a windmill. I lived in the Netherlands. I studied also in the Netherlands. I lived there, biked everywhere, winter, summer, rain, no rain, we bike. And they had so many windmills, right? And also electric windmills, not just the typical standard ones, right? The historic ones. I never saw a graveyard for birds. I mean, birds are less stupid than whoever talks about it. And he said, well, you go to jail for killing an eagle, but this windmill will just knock him out like you've never seen. It's like, what are you talking about? Where did you see this? What do you watch? What do you eat? What do you smoke? What do you take? Jeez, that was pathetic. That was really, really weird. I wonder if Elon listens to that and regrets anything. I think he's there for profit. I mean, the thing with Trump, it was never a surprise. It was never a secret. And suddenly we look at him, the cat is out of the bag, and you're like, whoa, it was always there. It was always there. That level of intellect or the lack thereof is there. I so appreciate you talking about his comments about the trucks and being yeah, thank you. I tried to record, it says like, remember it, because I don't want to cut it. It's like, anyway, he's weirdly obsessed with windmills. He said probably that's what he sees. It turns, it's like entertaining. He hates the windmills because of his golf course in Scotland. Oh, okay. Also, like, there's weird facts, where he buried Ivana, right, at the golf course. And then allegedly, I haven't seen it. That's why I'm saying allegedly. Melania's mother also. And so now it's registered as a graveyard or whatever, so he doesn't pay tax on this. Is that true? Have you heard that too? Certainly interesting. Nothing the Fallon says ever makes sense to me. No. And I think be careful, because once it starts making sense, there's no way back. So let's keep our hat on a swivel. It's a doozy. But before we get to Trump and Project 2025, the scary stuff, let's review 2 clips that are so sweet. Those are the clips between Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. The first one is when she called him and he missed the call. Take a look.
I
I was
called you,
hoping maybe
Tim.
we wouldn't have to.
I called you, Tim.
Yes,
You didn't answer, Tim.
I know.
What happened?
The most important call of my life. It popped up, and we didn't recognize the caller ID, and it went to voicemail.
Hi, this is Jim. I'm not able to answer.
There you go.
As soon as possible. Thank you.
Hey, Tim, it's Kamala. I really want to talk to you.
It is an amazing privilege. I'm excited. I just want to be part of the excitement that you're generating.
Well, we're
So,
doing it together, buddy.
It's fun.
We're doing it together.
And the second one is about that spice. And I feel seen. Like, look at me. I feel seen a bit about his low tolerance for spice. But that was so sweet. Take a look.
Like I have white guy tacos and
What is
like
that?
black,
Like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's
and,
okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
No.
Oh.
Here's the deal. No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota, you know.
I'm the first vice president, I believe, who has ever grown chili peppers.
Well,
You
trying
know,
to expand
we'll
my
figure that-
my food knowledge.
You know what? We've got some cantaloupes. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then I saw a huge MAGA account on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, where they said she lied that she's the first VP to grow the peppers, right? The hot spot, whatnot, the chili peppers. And then they did their whole research, and like, was it Lincoln or somebody grew them in 16 whatever. Certainly Kamala Harris wasn't there, but she meant vice president. She clearly said vice president, and she doesn't live at the White House where any president could have even possibly grown those peppers. So like, they would fact check that, but they would never fact check this damn windmills or electric trucks or anything of that nature. Like, where is your priority? Where's your head at? Peak Gen Z. Yeah, the entire YouTube video is so uplifting. If you haven't seen it, checked it out. Kamala Harris YouTube. Yes. And by the way, subscribe to her YouTube, because a bunch of events, all those rallies are streamed on Kamala Harris YouTube, and she has like 100,000 followers only. So let's do our job and subscribe. So let's talk about MAGA. Let's talk about this Project 2025. So two journalists went undercover to the foundation, to this Heritage Foundation, to speak first to the aide of this leader of Project 2025, and then we review the clips of what the leader said. But certainly I want to give them proper justice for them to explain how they did so. So let me pull up this clip. It's going to be about 2 minutes and some. So let me get this for you. Here they just first explain what happened. Let me see, is that it?
Oh.
Yeah, take a look.
Our investigation into Project 2025 began 2 weeks before the meeting with Vote, at a conference for religious nationalists in D.C.
The truth is, Christian nationalism is not a threat to American democracy. Christian nationalism founded American democracy.
Journalists from the Center for Climate Reporting have come posing as potential donors, looking to meet those involved in Project 2025. They're not hard to find. The Heritage Foundation, the group running the project, are here. So is Vote's think tank. We make the acquaintance of Mika Meadowcroft, an author on Project 2025 and a close aide to Vote. He tells us that Vote is running the secretive second phase of Project 2025.
The second phase after the book came out was to break down like actual sort of policy packets and like executive orders and agenda items, things like that. That's been supervised largely by us.
The first phase of Project 2025 was a 922-page policy book published openly. The second phase is a comprehensive, concrete transition plan for each federal agency. These much more detailed plans are confidential.
Yeah. Because obviously you want as little of it to be FOIA-able, if you're familiar with the FOIA process, as possible. Freedom of Information
Act, yeah.
The Freedom of Information Act allows the public to request government communications, but Meadowcroft reveals they plan to avoid these rules.
Yeah, the goal is, familiarize all the transition team people with these plans, but you don't actually send them to their work emails, because then, you could just give the handbooks to everyone, be like, this is the game plan for the admin. But if the press knows that that's what you're doing, that they're going to immediately just say, I request all of your emails from Heritage.
Okay.
You
worker. I see.
So we'll see.
Interesting.
Meadowcroft offers to set up a meeting with his boss, Russ Vogt.
You couldn't put me in touch with somebody who looks after his diary or whatever?
Yes, I can put you in touch with his schedule. Yeah.
Amazing.
So as to your question, when it was filmed, I think it was 3 weeks ago when they had the convention. So, but let me check that again. Now let's review the first clip where this Vought, right, the leader, explains the connection between Trump and why Trump is not endorsing Project 2025, but rather removes himself from it. So take a look.
You hear 10 more times from the rally, the president, distancing himself from the left's boogeyman of Project 2025.
Yeah. And you're not worried about that?
I'm not worried about it.
Okay.
He's running against a brand. He is not running against any people.
Okay.
He is not running against any institutions. It's interesting, he's in fact not even opposing himself to a particular policy. Yeah. He's been at our organization, he's raised money for our organization, he's blessed it from the, I remember walking into our last day in office and told him what I was going to do. So he's very supportive of what we do.
And so then they were asked about J.D. Vance and the connection and whether this guy approves of him. Take a look.
I'm very happy with the J.D. pick. I think it's transformative for sure. Yeah. And he's, think of him as a member version of what we do. Yeah. So there's no think tank, no policy organization, no battle plan creator other than us for the worldview that I think Donald Trump has and that JD has. The best example is like the campaign selected me to be the platform because of their views on my policy ideas, and they're not running from all of the negativity that I get from the press.
I see. So they haven't been spooked on you as a person, you don't think?
No, I mean, I don't think I'm going to be their transition pick because then they have all these kinds of stories. Yeah. But no, the relationship is great.
The head of the Trump transition team has not yet been appointed, but Vogt says that no matter who is named, he'll be able to hand over his Project 2025 battle plans directly.
If it's someone like Stephen Miller or Bob Lighthizer, so I am.
Yeah, Stephen Miller, the one who put kids into cages. Unforgettable. And so then they talked about the transition period specifically. That's the last clip.
It's actually come up with a strategy that works so long as you are giving people like me in the government the ability to block funding for Planned Parenthood, block funding for fetal tissue research. What I've told people is he had the most pro-life record ever. I've never seen him take it to stand in the way of a pro-life initiative that actually was real, politically and with momentum.
And to your point, thank you, Keith, for putting this out. We need to give proper credit to everybody. I'm going to put the link to their video in the notes on YouTube and X. I'm going to edit Twitter once this video is out because they risked their life. Let's see what did happen. I understand they're British, at least they sound British, and they don't show their faces, right? But they risked their life, and they are risking their life today. Because by the end of their video, they state that they reached out to Heritage Foundation for comment since it has premiered, and they never received anything. But those are people, to your point, the nonverbals and everything. It's risking life, so we have to accredit it. And even things like Kamala HQ or like Harris HQ, right, on X, I wish people would and organizations would certainly, accredit those for their good work. Thank you. I'll put the link up. I didn't want to use their entire video, just clips, because the views have to belong to them. They did the work. I just want to highlight it, Okay, so now Trump campaign in their email stated that, that's what I wanted to read out. I didn't want to post it on X or Twitter so it doesn't spread, but I wanted to read out. So they sent an email like around 1 a.m. and they said, President Donald Trump will bring economic relief to seniors like Janet with his plan to eliminate tax on Social Security, while Kamala is set on destroying Social Security and Medicare by doling out government benefits meant for America's seniors to illegal aliens. So, and then they started, sending those ideas that they are the ones protecting the economy, protecting the Medicare, protecting Social Security. Meanwhile, if we dig into Project 2025, and we already did so, they are the ones who will eliminate it, completely eliminate it. You just heard this damn guy talking about, well, how you're going to fight abortion. You will ban it, but then others will have another argument as to, but what if a woman is sick? What if there is an illness that will lead to abortion, medical abortion, that will be advised to this woman? So for that reason, you need to defund those doctors, defund they said like tissue, can't recall. Anyway, he was saying, talking about this in this video, this VOD guy, that you have to defund the research so they cannot be used as an argument to protect the right to abortion, even in case of medical need and prescribed abortion as an outcome, right? So that is the scary part. But meanwhile, they spread this information, send the emails, always referring like they are the ones protecting. They're the ones protecting. Trump has been talking today about how God protected him and turned his head towards this illegal immigration, whatever thing, stats that he was pointing out at this rally. And that God protected him because he has to save the planet. Where also do we hear that? We hear it from the owner of Twitter, right? I'm the one protecting humanity. I'm the one bringing you to Mars and making humans multiplanetary, which is a bunch of bogus, but it collects money. And I understand he's great in getting money for his companies, not great starting them, right? If you think about Tesla, if you think about PayPal, whatever, but he's great getting money. So he's great in telling that story. And it is a story. Same as when you see Trump rolling out in Bedminster, New Jersey, or Mar-a-Lago and talking about something, it's exactly the same story. And then it's followed up by multiple emails that all of them are subscribed to. So that propaganda never leaves you, right? You either see it or you read it, and then it's on social media, it's everywhere. So you are carefully planted in this bubble that is not bursting, it's everywhere. It's like the Truman Show, that movie was a preview. Okay, so I have a clip from JD Vance from 2021 when he discussed earlier waves of immigration. So because we say, well, JD Vance doesn't think about it, he was appointed and now he changed his mind, blah. Think about it. This is 2021. Just listen to what he says.
Yeah, I think it's one of these things that's evolved over time, right? So obviously you had this massive wave of Italian and primarily Italian, Irish, and German immigration, right? And that had its problems, right? It had its consequences. You had higher crime rates. You had these sort of ethnic enclaves developing. You had inter-ethnic conflict in the country where you really hadn't had that.
Yeah, I'm reading your comments. I'm not laughing to the video. Just let me finish with the video. You had this massive wave of Italian, Irish, and German immigration, and that had its problems, its consequences. You had higher crime rates. You had these ethnic enclaves, and you had ethnic conflict in country where you really hadn't that before. So this is fascism. There's no other determinate. This is fascism, right? So I want us to be very clear that this person is a true red, not true blue, true red fascist. Where else would you read it? I grew up in Germany. Yes, I read Mein Kampf. I had to read I read the Hitler's book just to see what the hell is in it. And 5 minutes in, you either go nuts, but if you continue reading, you will start understanding the ideology, and then there is no way back. So you have to really be careful how you consume something, right? Like, remember, during COVID or whatever, you had to protect yourself before you got exposed into dangerous environments. So when you watch this rally, when you read anything, you have to protect yourself mentally, right? How you consume this crap. Because if it's everywhere, you will be in that bubble, and suddenly it will be like gaslighting, right? Have you ever dated somebody who was like putting you, like gaslighting you? Where at some point you're like, maybe I'm the dumb one? It's always the good, naive people. So prepare yourself mentally before you consume this crap. You can't spell felon without Elon. Yeah. Indeed. And we mentioned dust broom beard of that. Yeah. It's certainly not the looks either. I don't know what's in it. I found her in like Wilson Harris. Oh, thank you. Been fangirling. Oh, I'm fangirling about you too. Oh, thank you. I'm not gonna put up your age, but awesome. Love it. Love you guys. Thank you. Thank you so much. By the way, it means so much today because I was like, I'm not gonna go live. This is all this hate and DMs hate, and everybody's blocking me today. And I'm like, let it just be. And then I thought, no, people will wait. Let's do it. For posting a link, say goodbye to Ace. Yeah. Okay, so you're posting links. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's scary because I have been debunking stuff with people who are 100% Harris camp, and they're hearing things from Donald and they believe it. Yes, that exists too. Because if think about Hitler, think about Berlusconi, think about even Kim Jong-un, right? They all have charisma. There's no way without it, right? Like if you think about Hitler, right? I'm sorry, I'm going to take you all the way back. We're going to get back to the actual news. But Hitler, a poor boy who was drawing pictures, right? Leaving for free somewhere, right? He was drawing pictures, trying to get food, and then he stumbled upon this SS meeting, and then they recruited him because he had the charisma. In fact, he started leading Germany without being German citizen at that point. He was from Austria. So, but that charisma plays a big role. Trump does have that charisma. For me, in my eyes, it's unlikable. In MAGA eyes, this is lovey-dovey and amazing. But certainly he does have the power to keep somebody, like compare it to reality shows. People love this Housewives. People love the Kardashians. I never watched either. I tried, and then no, my brain is like, let's get out. But so many are watching it, and so many are into it because it does have an appeal, and Trump does have an appeal. So for that reason, before you consume anything, protect yourself. Like during COVID, when you went to the supermarket, you would put your mask on, I hope, right? So protect yourself mentally, like, okay, I'm about to be exposed to a bunch of banana, so I have to take it with a grain of salt. I don't understand their appeal at all. Humans are effing ridiculous. I know, but they do. They do have an appeal, That's why he's still there. After this completely failed presidency that started in 2016. I remember that night when he won, right? Last story for today. But I went to the church. It was the election night. I went to St. Patrick's Cathedral. I go there every week. Anyway, I go there. It's right next to the Trump Tower, a block away. And so I exit the church. It was around 7 p.m. or 6 or so. And there were a bunch of MAGA people, like with the flags, Trump and MAGA, at like Fifth Avenue. And I'm thinking, we're in New York. What the hell happened? Like, that's just sick. That is sick. And he was following the election at the Hilton Hotel on 57th Street and 7th Avenue. Hillary was at the brand new center, the glass one, how do you call it? Losing words. We also got Pfizer shots there. Anyway, on the west side. So she was in the center, and I have the name of this anyway. It comes back to me. Anyway, so she was on the west side, and he was on 57th and 7th, or both in Manhattan. So I'm walking back because I had to work. I went back on 57th Street, and I went to the Starbucks that I usually go to, and I had a long night to work on. I stumbled in a Starbucks, and they gave me free coffee, and I'm saying, why do you give me free coffee? And they're like, where's your badge? Do you want to come in? And then I turn around, and I see Trump. That was election night. And of course, I left the coffee and left. I was like, I don't know, thanks. But my point is, like, the atmosphere there was so cheery, like so many MAGA people with the hats, with the flags, with the pickup trucks. And I'm like, this is Manhattan. This is weird, and then we start hearing cheers from like 8 p.m. on and so on. So I don't want to feel like that anymore. And it was just this feeling of loss, like, what's going to happen? Free fall, right? So we have to do our justice, our job, and we have to do due justice to those who are fighting everywhere in battle states and battlegrounds, to do the work and not to feel upset and that type of loss of words and understanding as we did in 2016. And to your point, I do not understand how after such failed presidency he is still kept alive. And the answer to that would be media. Because if media wouldn't have covered this, or would have fact checked it and said, oh, same old, now back to normal news, that appeal would not have been there. But he's still on television, he's still doing all that, and, has the appeal. I feel triggered, energized that all the time. Yeah, last story crazy. That hour went past like nothing. Thank you. Okay, let's continue. My family is always fact checking me for long live streams. Okay, but to your point, who keeps them alive? And I mentioned that since yesterday, suddenly the floods are open, the gates open, and I'm getting all the press stuff from the Trump campaign. Maybe they just have somebody who finally does the work. That could be also the case. Maybe I'm on their radar. But there is something I noticed. Let's see if you notice it too. First email today, right? Kamala Harris blames everybody but herself. Let's not even read into it. Now, as a proof, here are the facts. They quote who? Who do they quote? A study from Federal Reserve banks and blah, 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 CNN. Some progressives have frequently blamed corporate greed, and you see, paid by Donald J. Trump, so it ends. The email ends, okay? So facts were CNN. Second email today, you see August 15th. Seniors are suffering in Kamala Harris economy. Who is the fact checking them or providing the facts for them? CNN. CNN reported Wednesday highlighting the story of 78-year-old blah, blah, blah. Third email today. Trump campaign launches Jewish Voices for Trump coalition. Who do they quote? CNN, Tim Walz 2006 campaign, Leslie, blah, 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 and then they found something from ABC News. 3 emails today, 3 referrals as to the fact-checking them or supporting their statement is CNN. And we saw the clip of an anchor from CNN earlier. Does this stand out to you? Or, I don't know, maybe I'm being banana, but, a poorly developed sense of self. Oh, we talk about the appeal. He plagiarizes like crazy and flips him. He looks great. Isn't CNN run by a Trumper now? Yeah, bought by Trumper and sponsored by them. So it has been preparing. So that is to my point as to who kept them alive, right? Since 2020, right? Lost election. How come we're still talking about him? How come we're still talking about the election being 50-50 and who's going to win? How is that possible that this guy grabs us by our genitalia now, third term in a row? How? Anyway, to compare, this was hilarious. So this is Harris Walz campaign. They sent it before that press or whatever that was, date and time, venue, not a battleground state, preview. Not so fresh off NABJ, Florida, and Twitter glitches, Donald Trump intends to deliver another self-obsessed rant full of his own personal grievances to distract from the toxic Project 2025 agenda, blah, blah, blah. And then these remarks will not be artificial intelligence, but they certainly will lack intelligence. Boom. And so, what I also loved, Hillary Clinton put this comment to JD. JD had the rally yesterday, and then today he also delivered remarks. She said, childless cat ladies, postmenopausal females, is the Republican ticket aware that women can vote? Like, you keep harassing women. What do you think? But we talked about appeal. We talked about harassing women. We talked about Hillary Clinton pointing this out. But there are women that say this. Look.
Yeah, I think that women's rights are really important and that Trump is fighting for women's rights.
Girl, I graduated from North Carolina. Girl, what that hat do to you? Does that hat has some toxic, I don't know, potion motion? What are you talking about, lady? You're young. You are the one who falls under the scope when it comes to, reproductive rights and abortion rights and care. What are you talking about? Are you lost? Are you this lost? Yikes. Now, Van Jones, we talked about CNN. Well, Van Jones is on CNN. And this is the tricky game they play. So it says, like, oh, we're going to fact check him, or we're going to talk badly about him. But then when it matters, we will show his rallies. We will never fact check. We will host very friendly debates toward Trump, right? But sometimes we're going to be mean. So it kind of sort of looks balanced. Take a look.
He's failing and flailing. Listen, they're saying that this is the worst 3 weeks of his campaign. That's what the press is saying. This is a year in which he got indicted, convicted, and shot at and actually hit by a bullet. And none of that to him is as bad as possibly not getting as much attention as Kamala. Like, that's the only thing that's happened, is that he's just not getting as much attention as Kamala Harris. He is more freaked out about that than, being a convicted crook and someone who almost got killed. So that lets you know the level of narcissistic challenge that we have here. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is doing exactly what she needs to do. Everybody's, oh, she's got to talk to a reporter. She's got to talk to a reporter. Would you notice that she's already done like 19 impossible things in a row? She united the Democratic Party. She picked a VP that made everybody happy in the party. She's managed to actually get us on path to a convention that people are excited about. She's somehow gotten Biden out of the way without him hating her or anybody else. She is a political mastermind that's been underestimated her whole career. She's doing amazing. At some point, she'll talk to a reporter. But in the meantime, this guy is falling apart in plain view.
Yeah. I don't like the flippity-floppy situation, right? He cries because Trump survives this assassination attempt, and this is the best thing I saw in my life, and that inspired me now to believe in Jesus and all that kind of stuff. Then he flips on him, but then when it matters, when they will be covering the election, when they will be covering the election day, what are they going to say, right? So let's keep our hat on a swivel. I don't trust somebody who flips all around, right? He's playing a role. Yes, I see it. And he's crying all the time, indeed. Okay, moving on. All right. Let's talk about the Trump press conference. Unfortunately, we'll have to. Very short clips for our health and wealth. First, he talked about Kamala Harris being radical.
Your country will never recover. You're never going to recover. A radical left person wants to put price controls all over the place, which will end up driving up your prices, not down your prices. Harris has just declared that tackling inflation will be a day one priority for her. It's going to be day one. But day one, really, for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Where has she been?
Trump next to sausages, reading off a paper that Kamala Harris is radical. Like, SNL will be jobless. Just play those rallies every night and scream live from New York is shit show. Like, what are you gonna do? What is SNL gonna do? Put sausages and Alec Baldwin? Like, I don't think Alec can do a better job here. Like, now next clip is about ICE, not Ice Baby, but ICE that drags people out of their homes. Now, listen to this with the thought that it's not a comedy hour you came to. This is a former, maybe future president telling you what ICE is doing to illegal immigrants.
And she compared ICE agents, these brave people, to the KKK. She said, the ICE people, the ICE agents, I compare them to the KKK. Well, they don't really, because, when you go into like Long Island, like Ohio, like Michigan, we had a lot of them, and you see these men, in most cases, the agents, get out of a van and walk into, they call it a pack. It's a pack, not like a political pack, slightly different, even nastier, hard to believe, right? But they would go into a pack of these killers, and all you do, I've seen it so many times, all you do is see fists and feet and hands and fighting. And 2 minutes later, they stand up and they walk out. They have them by the feet. They walk them out, or they drag them out, mostly drag them out, put them in paddy wagons, and they bring them back to their country. They take them back to the country, and the country is open arms now, open arms. And it's an amazing thing for her to say KKK is.
It's not funny. It's not funny when ICE does something. It's not. But this is a former president. Just imagine there's like a NATO summit and you have him explain something to world leaders and they will try not to laugh or perhaps will laugh. And that will be translated in all languages live. And he was reading that. So somebody wrote it. God. So then he shared that if you steal stuff for less than $1,000, apparently you're not going to be prosecuted.
But you're allowed to rob a store as long as it's not more than $950. Has everyone ever heard of that? You can rob a store, and you have these thieves going into stores with calculators calculating how much it is. Because if it's less than $950, they can rob it and not get charged.
It's just so people are going to stores with calculators so they can calculate real quick so they're not going to be charged. Where does he get this stuff? What do they smoke? Because somebody wrote it and he's reading it. What do they take? I mean, either don't take it or share it with it. I mean, what was happening? Must be crack. I mean, something. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Trump has always loved props for his staging. In this campaign, it feels like continuation of Rudy's press conference and landscaping parking lot. I think that landscaping parking lot with the dildo store next to it was like high quality event. If you look at JD's events, I can't even. Stephen Miller is who gives it to him, and Captain Ronnie Jackson prescribes him drugs. Yeah. So then last clip, because I want us to sleep tonight. He shared why he's entitled to harassing Kamala Harris. Take a look.
I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence.
So that just opened our gates. If this is tit for tat, don't call anybody fake news or media or whatever, because if you lack respect for somebody, you can just harass them. And next time you go for groceries, just take a calculator. Leave your wallet at home. Just take a calculator. And if anything, ICE will drag people by the feet, mostly feet and hands. Anyway, you need a walk after this. If you watched it, take a bath, take a walk, cleanse yourself, pray, meditate, like there are things for that. Just don't let it bake inside you, because that's weird. So Harris and Walz's campaign put a statement after this. They said, statement on Trump's whatever that was at his country club. Donald Trump huffed and puffed his opposition to lowering food costs for middle and working class Americans and prescription drug costs for seniors before pivoting back to his usual lies and delusions. No surprise, Trump doesn't want to defend his agenda that would raise costs for families by $3,900 a year, cut Social Security, and eliminate Affordable Care Act. Also, he can give his rich donors tax breaks. The American people cannot trust a word Donald Trump says, but they can trust Vice President Kamala Harris, who has spent her life taking on fraudsters, cheaters, and criminals like Donald Trump to make our country safer and lower cost for the middle class. Okay, that was good. Middle East. Let's talk about Middle East, because many of you have requested some updates about the negotiations and time difference. The biggest thing is time difference. Negotiations will proceed tomorrow, but I have the readouts. First, I wanted to share with you an interesting development. Palestinian President Abbas, right, visited Putin today while Russia literally bombed Ukraine. Take a look.
Dobrý. I'm very glad to see you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I remember this guy crying at the UN, crying, saying, please, take care of us or Hamas will stay. I vividly remember it. And then he travels to Putin. What? He's going to protect you? Now, it was tweeted that Netanyahu spoke to Trump yesterday. I don't have readouts. NSC is not confirming or denying. What they talked about, today I showed you Trump's campaign said Jews for Trump. Maybe that is something that they talked about. Maybe they talked about negotiations. Who knows if they even talked about anything because it was tweeted by a reporter. Otherwise, I haven't seen it. So this morning, early morning, we talked to John Kirby, the National Security Council's John Kirby. He said that the talks are moving in Doha and have just started at that point. Qatar and Egypt are representing Hamas. So Hamas is a terrorist organization. And to explain that media question earlier that I read out, where, Hamas is not present, how are you going to do? They're not present, they're a terrorist organization. So they are with a direct line to Egypt and Qatar that represents them and negotiates with them. And then there is a team from US, including the head of the CIA, and our representation, plus Israel. So for that reason, Hamas vividly would not be sitting at that table. That's a terrorist organization. If they're sitting at the table, you legitimize them. So he says a lot. Qatar and Egypt negotiate with Hamas a lot since the complicity. Talks expected to continue into tomorrow. So they were asleep and they're starting pretty much now. Today is a promising start. Let's not expect them to finish tomorrow, get up and say, okay, deal is done, it's good. But both sides have agreed fundamentally to the measures. Let me read it out. Main obstacle is to get the hostage deal. Details of the implementation. The framework of the deal generally is accepted by both sides. But Kirby wouldn't get into the specific implementing measures that still need to be negotiated. U.S. team is open to constructive negotiations. The way negotiations work is you start with a text on the piece of paper. Both sides have amendments, and then it leads to more discussions. Both sides have an opportunity to review and amend the text, and the negotiation continue, right? Today, we are with the essential framework being agreed to, and now negotiating is just the implementation. Hamas negotiation is not different since previous negotiation dates. In the past, it worked very similar like it's working today in Doha, meaning that Hamas was never seated at the table as a terrorist organization. They're hiding in bunkers under people that they use as human shields. Nothing is different than how it always happened in the past. As to the criticism of Gallant, so this is the Israeli side, that they have accomplished their attainable goals in Gaza, and the deaths that recently happened are not justified. Kirby said that the last thing he wants to do is insert himself into internal Israeli politics. So inside Israel, again, people are standing up against Netanyahu, demanding ceasefire, demanding the peace deal and return of the hostages. Netanyahu issues attacks on Gaza, where he targets Hamas leaders that are protecting themselves with civilians that they use as human shields. And so this death toll has been discussed, and Israel has been criticized for that. But in terms of Kirby, he said, I will not be issuing any criticism. We are in the middle of negotiations, and the last thing I want to do is put myself inside Israeli politics. So Israeli have imposed a huge impact on Hamas, eliminating their leaders. off the battlefield. Hamas is a terrorist organization and ideology and framework with operations like an army, and Israelis have done an effective job in reducing their military capability. But there are still those hiding, fighting, and they still have resources to continue. But Israel has achieved a lot in their operations hurting Hamas. Now, our priority, U.S. priority, is ceasefire. Stop fighting and get hostages home so there are no civilians. That doesn't mean we stop talking to Israelis to lower the civilian impact. That's referring to the most recent attack at the hospital where about 80 people died, mostly kids and women. Ceasefire would be between Hamas and Israel. Can't speak on what the other proxy groups might do or not do. In terms of Hezbollah, we still haven't seen signs that they want to jump in with both feet and start a war. So they have not seen those signs. But the threat is there. Will they partake if Iran were to decide to continue? Possible. Attacks are not to provide Israel to enter a ceasefire. So attacks are to provide Israel to enter a ceasefire. Given that, perhaps this will affect their plans. What he means is, we're talking about the ceasefire and the peace deal between Hamas and Israel. So we're talking about the Gaza border, right? We're not talking about the northern border with Lebanon. That's where the Hezbollah and Iran, and that's the other war front that is being discussed. But if there's a ceasefire with Hamas and there's a peace deal and the hostages are being returned and it is negotiated by Egypt, and Egypt said to Hezbollah and to Iran, don't use our airspace to invade Iran, and Iran is not sharing the borders with Israel, so they need this airspace. That might put Iran on hold. Also, he noted that it's been 3 weeks since Israel has conducted the operation and killed the leader of Hamas. So for 3 weeks, they have promised us, bloodbath and all that kind of stuff, but nothing did happen. So they are awaiting something, and that could be this peace talks, and this what comes out of it. The outcome might be what they're waiting for. Okay, we're watching it very closely. Have been messaging Iran through people with direct access as well as other vehicles. Our message is that we don't want to see an escalation and would like to prevent an attack. Plus, we also moved our military capabilities as if Iran were to choose to proceed with an attack, we could defend Israel and our interests. Rhetoric coming from Tehran has been pretty aggressive, so we have to take it seriously. And an attack can come with little to no warning on any day. We work on de-escalation. So in my guesstimation, as it used to work, Iran is on notice, and they're waiting for the results of this ceasefire and the peace deal. So let's check your comments if you have any questions. I saw a Palestine article that said they want Harris, anybody but Trump. They believe Harris will be more open to humane treatment and rebuilding Gaza. Could be Russian propaganda. Donald praised the Iran dude that was killed. The toughest to him, great guy. Yeah. Apparently Trump called Bengi again, Benjamin, and had a conversation. That was yesterday. That was tweeted, so I don't see any official reports on that. I hope didn't blow up whatever ceasefire might happen. Yeah, and also Netanyahu can check in on the any information that Trump is having access to. Don't also Netanyahu not to settle before the election. Well, you see, Netanyahu is first and foremost has his priorities in check, right? For him, it doesn't really make sense to mess everything up with Harris, because I do think she's aligned with Biden, but I also do think she's harsher, the way she already speaks now, as to bring up the peace, stop talking about it, deliver, right? Which makes sense. So for him to mess up, because everything they use to fight, right, and conduct any attacks, and Iron Dome and everything, right, it comes from United States. So you have a little playroom to play a dictator, but you don't have much to back up your dictatorship if you are lacking military support and money. right? So for that reason, Trump is useful now, but he is not in power. And it's a question whether he will be in power. But they need the money, they need the capabilities. Do you have a take on the CBS moderators for the VP debate? I noticed they're both Gen X and either perimenopausal or menopausal hopeful. No, I don't. Let me Google them. Let me talk to you about it tomorrow. I'll take a note. Thank you. I only say that because of how Trump bordered the border bill. Yeah, but and that's like with Zelensky too. And let's talk about Ukraine now. They try to test out both sides, because it's between Harris and between Trump. Now, Zelensky's team has been in touch and working closely with the National Security Advisor for Kamala Harris, Phil Gordon, who is way harsher. If you were to compare him to Jake Sullivan, he is mostly in the opinion that Ukraine needs more arms and be more aggressive. So certainly that would change an outcome. Again, Trump now has no budget. He has nothing. And for them, they are at war. They need now something up until January. And it is a big question as to what will happen if, Trump wins. Trump held a conference on combating anti-Semitism. I think he's angling endorsement. Yeah, that's why he did the juice for Trump. Twitter is blowing up about it because he's insulting vets as usual. Oh, God. Okay, so on Ukraine, again, this is John Kirby. We have seen Russian units being redirected from operations in and around Ukraine to the Kursk region, that region where the Ukrainian incursion happens. These are early reports, so we don't know the intentions, but we see the movement. Will Ukraine be able to hold the Russian-occupied territory? I can't speak on Ukrainian ability to achieve whatever objective they're trying to achieve. Will Putin conduct a massive attack to respond to this huge embarrassment to him? Troops are being sent to the area, but it's unclear to define what their goals for the operations are. By the way, Putin now started lawsuits and they don't even do lawsuits. They just put folks in jail, like those who were responsible for protecting Kursk region, military folks and whatnot. But usually they put innocent people in jail and protect those that are lacking knowledge, right? Because they're there for a reason. They're yes people. They're doing whatever Putin does, tell them to do. Putin is reacting in some way, but we haven't seen or heard any escalatory rhetoric, in particular in regard to nuclear weapons. So he is not behaving the way he did in October of 2022, saying, we're going to nuke you, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. He is not reacting, even though those red lines, the infamous red lines, are way crossed because Ukrainian army is in Russia, seizing territory, thinking about to do, an election there so they can vote to be independent from Russia. They're getting aid to people who live in this under Ukrainian occupation. Those people are singing Ukrainian anthem. Those people are feeding the soldiers and hugging them and started speaking Ukrainian all of a sudden. So interesting. Now, we haven't seen or heard anything that would cause us to change our strategic posture or calculus. It was rumored today, again, I don't see official reports, so I want to call it rumors that Ukraine is going to get long-range missiles soon or more aid. I have not heard that or read that, so I will call it a rumor until I hear about it. Okay, and I saw it on Twitter. So there is also, perhaps you recall, American-Russian citizen, a young lady from California. I think she has a Dutch boyfriend, and she went to Russia to visit her grandparents, and stayed there for a month. When she entered Russia, they took away her phone and said, we want to see what you do. There they found that she donated $52 or something to Ukrainian army. So when she was leaving, she called the police and said, can I pick up my phone? They said, sure. They came, she came to pick up the phone. They took her to jail. Now today they sentenced her to 12 years in the Gulag regime. So it's in Siberia. To that, Kirby said, This is vindictive cruelty. We spoke to her before the sentence, and this sentence proves even more that there is no justice coming from Moscow. We will work on her release. Certainly, he doesn't go deeper into that because that's, again, it's negotiation matter. So we have to see how that works out. Now, when it comes to Ukraine, there was a massive surrender from the Russian army. Take a look. They about 1,000 people surrendered to Ukraine today. Take a look.
Партия полонених, срочники, бідолахи, Ахмат теж є.
So they're not hurt or anything, but they're face down. Those are, and that's what he says, those are contractors. They tell a story that you're going to make so much money, go fight. Also, there were some sick and funny sick videos of Russian parents. So the soldier, right, goes into occupation, and Ukrainians give him a phone to call with FaceTime parents. And they call the parents, and the parents say, well, no, that's not you. You go, well, check my tattoos. Mommy, it's me. It's Roma, and whatever. His name is Roma. And they're like, no, it's not you. It's not you. It's like, wait, Mom, that's me. Look, it's my tattoo. It's my this. No, it's not you, because they want to declare the son dead, so they're going to get a car. Or like an apartment. Like it's like a financial incentive. There was a woman who said, oh, 3 of my kids died, and now I got my apartment. Now I still have 2 more. They're 15, but I'm going to send them so I can get a car. Like, it's sick. Quickly, in Pentagon, there was a briefing. I want to read out 2 questions. One was, is Ukraine asking for permission to use Western weapons for longer range strikes inside Russia to build momentum during this Kursk operation? Is it something that the United States is considering? The spokesperson for Pentagon, Singh, she says, so I don't have anything more to provide on long-range deep strike capabilities. We have given them capabilities and sort of worked with the Ukrainians on setting those perimeters, but those haven't changed. The next question, why is this still considered to be escalatory, given that there has been no major response from the Russians to the incursion of Ukrainians into the territory? I mean, it seems like that every red line that Russia draws, Ukrainian military is rising now. She says, we can have a very long conversation about it. I will tell you that the weapons that we are providing them are not just, you have to remember, this is not just the United States. This is a coalition of countries coming together through the UDCG, providing weapons and capabilities and support to Ukraine. We believe the best way that they can be effective on the battlefield is by knitting those capabilities together and continuing to push forces back to regain their sovereign territory. That doesn't necessarily happen by doing long-range deep strikes within Russia. And of course, we're worried about escalation. So just because Russia hasn't responded to something doesn't mean they can't or won't in the future. So again, US side, Pentagon says, be careful. Whatever we give you is to push Russians out of your territory. Now you are on the incursion. Putin hasn't reacted yet, but it doesn't mean he will not react. So now I have presented to you a readout from Pentagon and from National Security Council's White House. So let's put that all together. Do I have anything? Let me see. Comments. When will people learn not to go to Russia? Yeah, that's about the girl. I really don't understand. It just makes absolutely no sense. Putin is snatching Americans to get more of his criminals from us and swap. Exactly. Preach. Yes. And this will continue. And please, I mean, I understand and I feel it. I had a grandmother in Moscow during COVID. We could not visit. She got COVID. We had to, she passed away. It leaves a toll on you, on your soul, on your physical disability to help. But you have to understand what's on the line now. You can't go to Russia. Don't go there. It's not your vacation spot. You don't go to somebody's wedding, right? Think about Paul Whelan, how he ended up in jail. He went to his friend's wedding and then was declared a CIA agent, right? So just keep your head on a swivel. This is not funny, you know? Random comment, if you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs and boost. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I always never said that, but hit the like thing and whatever, follow. I don't know, something like that. That's all what they always say. Thank you, Jimmy Johnston. When will people learn? Okay, I showed that. Once again, Olga, you're doing amazing, important work. Sorry you got shit on today and every day. Oh, thank you about the Hillary tweet. It just goes to show how we're so distrustful of the media as a whole. Yeah, thank you. And I understand where it comes from. My whole point was I'm just so still hurt about not what, but how it happened and how it went down for Biden. So I really want him to be honored and to have his own shine. And for this convention, nobody asked me because I'm not the person to be asked. But if I were to be asked, since it is Kamala Harris who's nominated, I would love to see women being celebrated at this convention. I would love to celebrate Hillary Clinton, who broke the ceiling. Javits Center. I knew I will remember it. That's where she was celebrating following her election when Trump won. Didn't win, but won because of the electoral votes. But anyway, it was Javits Center. And why it is important, because if you Google Javits Center, it's all glass. It's all glass, like the ceiling walls. And we said, this is the night when Hillary will break the ceiling. That was the whole thing in New York about that, Javits Center. So if you, Google it, you'll see it. I would love for her to be celebrated. I would love for Kamala Harris to be celebrated. I don't want Hillary to give a pep speech. That's what I would love to see. But again, I'm sure they have their reasons. We're not there when they're talking. Maybe President Biden wanted that the way it is. Can we ask questions? Certainly, and we will, right? And should we expect their explanation? I think we can, right? Because they're doing the convention for you guys. So that is the whole idea. I'm still very hurt about Biden. One of my BFFs was at an event with the LBJ daughter. They were talking about how LBJ left the race and she started crying, and this is 56 years later. Yeah, I don't think we will easily forget that. No. Hillary needs to shine. Biden will have his time. I told you earlier, I don't want to see her prop up another man. That's what I just said. I want her to shine. She is that, woman, one of many women, but she certainly opened the doors and the gates for Kamala Harris now. So we're not like stumbling for a nominee, right, to run for president. We already had that. And we had somebody who people voted to be president. And then because of the, how electoral votes and shit works here, that's how it all happened. But, let's not wait for somebody to be celebrated. Let's do it now. Was done just as dirty as Biden. Indeed. And maybe they wanted to be on the same night. My question is why Obama is getting, I understand there are many speakers. It goes for 3 hours. I totally get that. But if you make a headline speech, why Obama is alone and others are together, but I'm sure they do have a plan. So let's trust the plan. Let's enjoy the convention. Let's go into it with the positive spirit, with the enthusiasm that now is embracing, right, the party, and the party embraces the nominees. So let's trust them. Let's trust them and then enjoy. It was her op-ed in NYT, New York Times, that got me on board for Harris. So she's still breaking the glass. Indeed, it is. And she wrote a book, and she will be traveling. And she will also hold a speech in New York, in Carnegie Hall, which I will cover. And so we're going to talk at the town hall tomorrow more about all of it. So that's why I was like, I'm working so hard to do all these interviews and stuff. And you start telling me that I'm slamming Hillary Clinton. That's the last thing I want her to see today. That is a shit show. Let's not do that crap. I'm hyped for the DNC too. Yeah. Convention's looking good. I saw pics of the finished setup on Twitter. I'm excited. Haven't felt that in a while. Yeah, and it's going to be booked up and like positive. We need positivity. We need enthusiasm. We need that. We need that. And this comments and blocking me or whatever, I live. That's not a question. The point is how distrustful, how sensitive we became, right? That we will block somebody who is in the same party, who tells what you want to hear, right? But if you misunderstand something, we immediately react, right? So fingers crossed. What time is the town hall? Good question. So tomorrow we're meeting at 7 p.m. Eastern. You saw the link. You don't need to register. There's no Gmail, whatever needed. You'll get your link tonight in the email again, and 1 hour before the meeting tomorrow. If you're subscribed to Substack, I created this thing. Wait a second. Ta-da! I have to remove comment. Wait a second. I suck on many fronts today. Wait a second. Here we go. Okay, so if you subscribe to Substack, then I have your email and I can send you the invite. We're meeting at 7 p.m. Eastern for Town Hall. You'll get the details what we're going to talk about, so check it out. In yesterday's email, it was there. Today, it's there. And tomorrow, it's Google Meet. You don't need an app. It's just a link. It opens on your phone or your computer. It's just a bit safer than Zoom, and you don't need to verification or anything like that. And I dumped there all the emails of subscribers so it can verify if you are, coming from the street or you're our guy, girl, or them. I have the day off to Monday, going to plant myself in front of 50. Good point. I like it. Yeah, so we're going to talk tomorrow about DNC coverage, how you guys want me to cover it. So let's talk about everything tomorrow. And then after that, after we're done, I'm going to go live. So if you're not joining the town hall, I'm going to go live around 8 p.m. So as soon as we're done. Subscribe today. You hope to get the email. Yes. Yeah, you get the email. And also on Substack, if you go now, since you are subscribed, Terry, and welcome to the team. All the emails are there. So that's the good thing about Substack. You don't have to wait to get the next email. Go there, open everything that I have been sending before. Right on, bro. Yeah, Jimmy's talking to Brandon about the TVs. Yeah. Okay, so thank you so much for joining. Thank you for subscribing. Your support, your subscriptions, your support means the world. Thank you so much. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for engaging. You made my day. I'm happy that I went live because before I was like, I'm going to quit everything. I'm in Aries. We're like, decide, boom, don't think about it. So I'm happy I went live. You made my day. Do we need an app for Google Meet? No. Just click on the link and it opens. Like literally the video opens right away. And you can send reactions there and stuff like that too. Quick question thing. White House just sent a red thing to report right away. President Biden approved South Dakota disaster declaration. Declared that major disaster exists in the state of South Dakota and ordered federal aid to supplement state, tribal, and local recovery efforts in the areas affected by severe storms, straight line winds, and flooding from June 16 to July 8th. So I'm going to post about it. And again, any of those things, please let me know if you need any numbers, FEMA numbers or names of the people, because we get those reports. I just don't spam Twitter with that. So, not everybody calls everybody. And one quick thing is, I don't know if you saw, if it's in your interest, but the White House welcomes now volunteer applicants from all U.S. states and territories. Encourages military-connected family members, educators, and students to apply for the holiday. Either you want to help them decorate for holidays or you want to be part of the entertainment team. So if you're interested, please message or comment and I'll send you a DM with direct application to the White House. There's 2 different links for each. And I don't want to spam Twitter so White House is not getting overwhelmed with like MAGA people saying I hate you or something like that. So, okay. Lisa says I'm techno challenged. It's just one link. Like literally test it today. Open the email and just click on the link. And just test it today. It will open right away. And if you need any help, just DM me and I'll explain. But it's literally just one click. I want to know what China dishes going to pick for holiday season. Probably Biden's will get their dishes. As you know, before they leave, they will design their own set of dishes, China, right? And there will be a Biden something, right? So they probably will be, will do. I was like, Doug, what? They probably will use that. So, next year they're getting it. Late signing in. Hi, Bonnie. You can just rewind and look, watch from the. Yes, you did. We're finished. So go back. Like about an hour back. I think an hour in. That's where we talk about Project 2025. Okay, I don't want to bother you anymore. So thank you so much. We're gonna see tomorrow each other at 7 p.m. at the town hall. Talk about the interviews. Talk about our game plan, DNC, and everything. And then after that, I will be live. Okay. So stay tuned. I will post everything about the Middle East. At night, we get like different noises if something is urgent. So I'm going to share it right away. Okay. Have a good night. Thank you so much for your support.